Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Good morning. Okay. I'm almost starting to feel like I'm doing radio broadcasting instead. Okay, so another day, alhamdulillah. All praises be to the creator of the heavens and the earth. I'm still here. I can't guarantee the next second. Excuse me. I can't guarantee the next. I was about to say 10 seconds, but I guess I would have been proved wrong right away. But I'm just grateful to be alive. Okay. Anyhow, moving forward. So I was coincidentally inspired to talk about the verse in the final testament of the Quran, which says the hearts have a disease. And it was incredible because I was just about to make the video and I landed on a YouTube video, which was by some brother who does Islamic Dawah videos as well, and he had an accusation or something of that sort. It was what was it called? I guess it was a mock accusation. I don't know, regarding this other brother named Ali Dawah. So it was hysterical because I really thought I was against him, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, we need to see a whole bunch of context, and one brother fighting with another brother, and they all talk about Dawah, which is inviting to the spiritual path and way, and here you are, putting one brother down and the other brother down is putting another brother down. I'm like, what on earth is going on? And it reminded me of something that was in the final the final testament, which says, and the sects rejoice within each other. And I'm like, wait a minute, aren't we supposed to be striving towards being forgiving and teaching and sharing and patience? And I'm like, whoa, anyhow, towards the end, of course they unfold it to be as kind of like a mock video, and they start kind of sharing how the testament talks about how to clarify each other in terms of not taking people's accusations out of context, how to prove it. What else was the other thing? I believe there were so many things that they were talking about, but finally they ended up talking about exactly what my inspiration was, which was the hearts have a disease. And first of all, I just want to say thank the creator of the heavens and the earth. It was just a video which was I guess more of like a stunt or a catch to the viewers to be engaged in the video itself, to teach them something. So I don't really care for the stunt more than anything. I really care that thank goodness, those two brothers are actually working together to invite to or attempt to invite to the path of the upright and righteous. I'd like to say that part. Anyhow, moving forward, so I obviously wanted to go ahead and give my take on the hearts have a disease. And the reason why I wanted to go ahead and do it is because, of course, I wanted to connect the Bible as well and shed the light on the Bible, in which the Bible also goes on to state that the tongues utter lies. Okay. The tongue utter lies because our hearts, right? They are prone to our emotions. You understand? They're prone to our emotions, and our emotions don't think logically. I mean, our hearts they're not able to think logically. Our hearts are blind. Our hearts are blind. You understand? Our hearts are blind because our hearts cannot think logically. They think based on desire, temptation. I guess whatever, not to go ahead and get off track, but I believe there comes 7 sins out of it. that were mentioned. So our hearts are prone to, desire and, sorry to say this, even lust and even, for example, okay, you would even lie to, for example, maybe save somebody who committed a huge crime because your heart feels sympathetic towards them, and now you lie to save them, and whether that's your child or whether that's your sibling or whatever it is, and now you just lied because your heart felt sympathetic towards them. It's your heart telling you that's the right thing to do, whereas your heart doesn't know between what's right and what's wrong. Your heart doesn't know what's right and what's wrong. That's where your spirit, or rather your logic, comes in. And it is totally separate to, it is completely separate to your heart. So your heart is blind because it can only understand emotions. It doesn't interpret or understand logic or reasoning or understanding. I believe that's where our mind comes in, or our brains. So that's the first thing. Now, our hearts have a disease. And it says in the final testament that God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, Allah, goes on and increases our diseases. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? The creator of the heavens and the earth, he says, and he increases our hearts that have a disease. What? Really? Like, are you serious? Wait, God is increasing our disease too? Okay. I guess let's look at some other example, I guess. Excuse me. All right. Now, I want to look at it from my perspective, really. Now, if you're sick, right, you have to take medicine, okay? You have to take medicine in order for the sickness and the bacteria or the disease to stop spreading. But you're not taking that medicine. You're allowing that disease to spread. You understand? You're allowing for that disease to spread. You're not taking that medicine to heal yourself, to cure yourself. Of course, you can just wait for that disease to, cure on its own, but, a majority of chances that's not the way that it works. You understand? Imagine if you have cancer. Okay. Cancer only increases, and it goes through levels of stages which, only get worse over time. And then some people, which is rare, 1 in a million, right? Of which I do know, this had happened to an individual, to be honest. But I don't want to take that example and use it for the majority of people out there. Excuse me. So, even if one person is miraculously cured by cancer without taking medicine, there must have been something that person did in order for it to have been cured. And I know the answer to that too. I do. And the answer to that is staying positive. Staying positive. Staying in goodness. Being stress-free. Hell, I can tell you one thing for sure. Stress is the number one reason to the increment and expansion of diseases. It's the number one reason to why illnesses are, are expanded or can perhaps even not be properly maintained. Stress is also a root to diseases. You stress too much, you're thinking too much in that sense. You're stressing too much. It can cause hair loss. It can cause heart attack. It can cause inflammation to your vein capillaries to your eyes. It's not even funny because it's happened to me once. I was under so much stress for the first time in my life that excuse me, the veins to my eyes were so swollen that the veins, the portion of it, I guess, bursted, and the fluid had what's it called, been dispersed throughout my eyes, and I wasn't able to see for approximately 2 months. I had gone blind for 2 months, and miraculously in 2 months I was also cured. That's because I think that was the most stress-free time of my life, to be honest. It's quite hysterical to even say such a thing, but I was the most stress-free person in the planet without vision. It's kind of crazy, but that's another story for another day. I have so many. So I know we're so off track right now. So we're going to go kind of backtrack a little bit, and we're going to talk about the person whom has the disease is not taking the medicine to cure it, right? So truthfully, what is the medicine to our hearts, or what is the medicine to our spirits? What is the medicine to someone whom has a heart filled with disease, or their spirit filled with disease? How can they cure it? And why would God, Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, why would the creator increase the hearts in disease? Okay, well, if you look at the screen above, I'm going to show you an experiment.
Dr. Emoto has conducted another interesting experiment. He placed rice into 3 glass beakers and covered it with water. And then every day for a month, he said, "Thank you" to one beaker, "You're an idiot" to the second, and the third one he completely ignored. After 1 month, the rice that had been thanked began to ferment, giving off a strong, pleasant aroma.
Okay, let's pause that. This one was a beaker with the tongue uttering goodness from the heart. So the heart obviously speaks through the tongue. So the tongue is uttering goodness. Okay. So when goodness is being uttered, right, let's just imagine that the heart is exactly like that. That your heart is pure. It's fermenting. It's great. It's in goodness. It's glowing. Okay. So that's how your heart essentially almost is like on the inside. Okay, and I'm not even talking about don't pull a fast one on me with a smoker and then wait a minute, what if you're still good and then like your heart is all black because you smoke and stuff like that. No, let's not take the example of that as in a person smoking and then their heart is black and then what is it called, but they're still good and they still speak good words. Well, if they're entirely good and great, at the end of the day, they'll come to a point where they're going to go ahead and give that up because they know it's not a part of goodness, because they're essentially doing harm to their own body. And they'll come to that realization someday. Hopefully it's not too late for them, right? Excuse me. I have a terrible flu. Okay, it's not that terrible like last time, but it's there. We're coming towards flu season. Anyways, so this is the heart when it speaks goodness through the tongue. And just imagine that this is how the heart should resemble. Now, let's see next one.
The rice in the second beaker turned black. And the rice that was ignored began to rot.
Okay, let's go back
In the second beaker.
Okay. That is your heart, ladies and gentlemen. When your hearts have a disease. What does that mean? Your hearts have a disease. Ooh, that's exactly what that means. Because your tongue is uttering what the heart has. So your tongue is only uttering terrible things. Excuse me. Your tongue is only and only uttering terrible things. So while you're uttering terrible things to somebody else, even, that's what you're technically almost intending to do to them. But at the end of the day, go back a little bit and you'll see that that's exactly what your inside looks like. Because your inside looks like that, there's no glowing, there's no growth, there's no goodness that's emitting onto your tongue. Excuse me. To instill upon someone else. That is a heart filled with disease, because your inside is so horrendous, filled with either envy, filled with either lying, filled with either, terrible, terrible things, or even one out of, the terrible things that God told us to, evade. Okay, so that is a heart filled with disease. And the reason why our hearts filled with diseases emit such terrible things is because, look, if you yourself on the inside don't have goodness, I mean, how else would you be uttering good words? You're not going to be speaking good words if suppose you're jealous, like your heart has jealousy within it. Obviously, what you're going to be talking about is not praise for somebody else. Like, oh, look at that sister. Or look at that brother. And, subhanAllah, mashallah, they're a very good individual. They're a great individual. No. What your heart, let's say if you have envy, you're going to be saying, oh, look at that sister, man. She's such a SMUT. Or she's terrible, or she dresses like totally horrendous, So instead of going up to that sister and being kind to her, or being positive towards her, or at least you could attempt to do it once. You don't have to do it 10 times, but you can go up to that sister and be like, you know what, sis, sister of Adam, or sister of Eve, or whatever, Hawa, or, peace be upon them. What's it called? You could just go up to them and say, listen, you could share your own story, or you could even give them a good example and just be like, I know you're going to go on to do whatever you want anyways, but I just felt like it's going to sound crazy too. Maybe you can give them a opening line, something like this. You could be like, instead of talking something bad about you, or saying something, like unethical or immoral, or something that's not really going to help you grow about you behind your back, make fun of you like all the other girls. I just thought, why not just come up to you once and tell you, oh, you know what, perhaps I'd just like to share this with you, and maybe this will be like something, a food for thought, something you could reflect on. And excuse me. And only when I'm trying to make videos, I break down. It's crazy. Sorry. Anyhow, so let me take a deep breath. Okay. Anyhow, so you could tell them, something good for them to think about. Maybe they'll think about it. What are the chances of them thinking about? I don't know. Maybe 1 in 100 that they'll think about what it is that you said to them, instead of going ahead and saying something negative about them. It's 1 in 100, but at least it's worth it will be 1 in 100. It won't be, it won't be 0 out of 100 that they won't think about you. It will definitely be 1 in 100 of the chances that they might think about you. But that's better of impact, leaving that goodness upon them, than going ahead and turning around and saying something detrimental to them and their reputation and integrity. Of course, if they don't think about it themselves, then there's no reason for us to go completely berserk over when they themselves don't care, right? But at least there's something good that you did. You understand? It's a good deed. And that good deed is actually upon you. You get that good deed. You feel better about yourself. And maybe, just maybe, one day, that 1 out of 100 chance might lead them to think of you one day, and think, maybe one day they'll think about it and they'll be like, you know what? This person was different to me. This person, wasn't like all the other people that was talking about me behind my back. She came up to me, and I remember her. And she did something for me that, of course she's not going to understand her, but something that to me was like different. You understand? Essentially good. So that envy that you have in your heart, see, now if you have envy in your heart, it's going to come out of your tongue, and you're going to say bad things about the person. It's automatically for you to realize that when you're saying something bad about somebody else, or something terrible, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. You're saying the bad or the terrible thing. Your heart has a disease. You need to be cured before the other person can even be cured. You need to work on yourself. You understand? Hell, I'll give you 2 examples. Perhaps the other person was like born with like AIDS or something. They just so messed up. It's like having AIDS or something. You understand? But perhaps, they so messed up. They doing all those 7 sins combined together, lying, stealing, and homosexuality, and adultery, and I don't know, like whatever sins that are out there. But then you, on the other hand, you know, you're cursing at them and you're like talking shit about them. Excuse me. And you're being absolutely terrible to them. You're being absolutely terrible to them. And you're reminding them, you're telling them, yo, you know what, you're a beep, 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 beep liar. You're a beep, 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 beep faggot. You're a beep, 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 you know, I don't know. I ran out of words. So you're cursing at them and you're trying to make them realize and blah, 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 all these things. And in reality, you should take a step back and look at yourself and think, number one, you can't even change that person. You understand? God said that. Allah said that in the Quran. He said, the person that you love the most in this whole entire world, you can't even bring him to this path or to the correct path or to goodness and to, you know, to all these things that the path has. The person you love the most in this world, you can't even do that. So you can't even do that for your mom, your dad, your brothers, your lovers, your whatever. You know, you can't even do that for any one of them. You can't change anybody in the dunya. So take a step back. Take a step back. If you're being wicked or not kind or gentle or whatever out of your tongues, there's something wrong with you too. There's something wrong with you too. Well, in most cases, there's something wrong with you. There's always exceptions by, I guess, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't know. But in most cases, let's humble ourselves and think that not being kind and not being aware and trying to change someone else, you can't do that. There's something wrong with you. And so that other person is incurable at this point, right? Not saying that anyone is incurable in this planet. I believe that the creator of the heavens and the earth has a cure for everyone and everything while you are alive and before your last moment. And the example of that is Pharaoh, because he had the 9 signs given to him, even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had told the Prophet Musa alayhi salam and Harun to go speak a gentle word to one of humans, greatest enemies, and even to one of God's enemies. He went and told him, go speak gently to him. So, even he, whom is one of the most accursed people in the Final Testament, which will be in Jahannam, even he had, an invitation of kindness in the beginning to come back to the way. So I believe that, of course, there's a cure for even the worst person on the planet, as per Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because one of the most accursed people excuse me, was Fir'aun. He will be an imam, a leader to the disbelievers in the hellfire, the lake of fire, or Jahannam. He'll be a leader there. But even he was given the 9 greatest chances ever recorded in the Final Testament to come and change. He had many times to change and he didn't. And he did accept it, but that's when it was too late. It was upon the time of death. Okay, it's upon the time of death. So, even a person that you think is the most incurable person, that most incurable person can change, but that's not for you to excuse me, that's not for you to I wouldn't say worry about, but more of don't think that it's upon you to change that person, because God already told you can't. You understand? So the most incurable person can change, can be cured, but don't worry about anybody else right now, because what we gotta do is think about ourselves. We need to cure ourselves. We need to heal ourselves. We need to watch everything that comes out of our mouth and start to examine ourselves. We need to examine everything that we say, and we need to see if there are signs of things that can be worked on. Do we ourselves have a heart filled with disease? Do we utter terrible things? Do we utter things that might be envy or spiteful or anything that you wouldn't want to feel from somebody else upon you? Because if that's the case, you need to cure yourself. And guess what the medicine of the heart and the spirit is? Our medicine is the testament. The word of God is our cure. It is our medicine to our spirit, to our heart. That is the medicine to all our hearts, to the whole of humanity, to all of the creations. And I still cease to make this video while I am sick as day. Anyways, let's go on
Turned black.
to the next example.
And the rice that was ignored began to rot.
Oh, okay, so now here's another example to all those awesome atheists who don't realize what's going on in their lives. Or even the people who say that, oh yeah, I believe. They'll just say it once, and then of course, they're just saying it because their heart is feeling pity or feeling like they want to be a part of, the conversation, to say, to their friends or the friends they have at the masjids or the places of worship, churches or whatever, wherever you are, right? But then they turn around and they start enacting the actions exactly that God was against for you to do. So you don't cause harm upon yourselves and harm upon others, and don't create a ruckus and vice and transgression in society. So you're like, yeah. Or the ones that, are atheists, and mind you, have a personal story with that too, who are too busy with their lives and their work and all these things to think about God. Okay. Well, that's your heart. Why? Why is that your heart? Let's see. Well, let's look at the example of a house which is not abandoned. A not abandoned house is a house which is hopefully, right, being maintained, it's being cleaned, it has goodness upon it because it's being taken care of, right? Now, a house which is abandoned obviously starts to get very dusty, very dirty. There's cobwebs now, there's algae growing on the freaking walls or something, or I don't know, like fungi grows on humans. Well, I guess I'll just assume that that green stuff is what I can't come up with the term for right now. It's so funny. What's it called? I can't come up with the term that there's like the walls being rusted and the whole house just starts to, look like a ghostly house. Like it's just, and within like 100 years, imagine that place is hasn't been inhabited for 100 years. You're gonna start to think that that place is spooky too. Like you don't want to buy that house. You'd rather just, if you had the money to buy a house, you'd just rather buy a brand new house, a clean house. You're not gonna buy 100-year house with like so much, something that looks spooky. It just looks like a haunted house, more rather like a haunted mansion, right? It's because it's just abandoned, right? No one's been taking care of that house. No one's been inhabiting that house. So it just starts to grow, moldy. There we go. Moldy and that's essentially an example to how our our heart and our souls are when it's being ignored of goodness. It's almost like it's dead. What happens when we die? What happens when we die? I'm just saying, suppose you're Christian, you go into, when you pass away, when you perish, you're put in a coffin or something, and then, you, what's it called? You have a grave, and, you're dead, and you're in the cemetery, and you're just dead, and everything around you in that cemetery is just not dirty. I guess it's more of like nature, but it's not alive. It's just dead. And when you're not alive and when you're not in goodness, you're pretty much dead. When you're not interacting, engaging, perhaps even seeing good thoughts and thinking good thoughts and doing good deeds, you're pretty much like as if you're alone, you never existed, and just on your own. Terrible example, by the way, but just saying, which reminds me that I need to take my medicine because I haven't taken any medicine since I've had this flu/cold. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Here I am giving advice and not even taking any medicine. Definitely gonna take that medicine after this video. Okay. So far-fetched, man. The hearts have a disease. Well, it's your pick. What you want to do, it's your life, it's your choice. God gave it to you, right? But just imagine. You think that jar with the algae looks appealing? I don't know, I'm just saying. Looks appealing? Would you want to put that in your house? No, right? You just want to throw it out, right? What about the other jar, the one with the all black in it and everything like that? You want to keep that in your house? Or are you going to throw it out? What about the other jar with the white rice and yellow glowing thing in it? Think you might keep that out of these three? You probably keep that. Because that's okay. You'll keep it around for some time, I guess, right? But you're definitely not going to keep this one or the jar that has black, pitch black in it and looks absolutely disgusting. You're not going to keep those, right? Just imagine. Do you think God is going to keep, or the creator of the heavens and earth is going to keep the individuals with the hearts that have a disease and, blackness or rust within their hearts? Or the spirits? Nope. Nope. He's not. It's your choice. So, if you feel like being hearts of a disease and ignoring and being negative, say, hey, that's your choice. But if you think if the creator of the heavens and the earth is going to keep you for ignoring him, he's going to ignore you too that day. For sure. It's on you. He's going to ignore you too that day. So don't be like, hey, why are you ignoring me? You're going to have every answer to every question you've ever asked by showing your own deeds to you. You understand? So, okay. As for God increasing the hearts of a disease, I'd like to take the increasing portion out and explain that. When you have germs in your body, they multiply, right? They don't just sit still in the corner. Suppose you're getting sick and then you're inclined to getting a fever. That thing has to increase, right? Right? So in that sense, since the cells with the bacteria start multiplying like crazy, you're not taking your medicine, right? You're not taking your medicine. You're increasing in your vice, in your transgression. You're increasing in your, in what you want to do, in your desires, which are far from goodness, perhaps. So God is going to let you increase it even more. Multiply like bacteria cells. Go on. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. Multiply yourselves. Because you're not creating anybody any harm but yourself, really, if you think about it. God will allow you to do it. God will multiply it. Oh my God. Even quicker and faster. Until you get to the point where, probably, where there's no cure. And guess who started it? You did. So it's up to you. It's all up to you. If your hearts have a disease, cure it by the recommendations of the creator of the heaven and the earth. In the final testament, read his words. It will enlighten you. It will cure you. It will recommend to you. It will only and only increase you in benefit. It is your medicine. It is your enlightenment. It is your goodness. It is how you feel great, amazing. I can't even describe it to you. I know it's a very lengthy conversation, but hopefully one of you in this planet somewhere actually understand what I'm talking about. And don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed at all. Majority of us have been there. We're not perfect. We're weak. Majority of us have gotten sick once in our life, with or without realizing it. No one's perfect. If you've done it, if your heart is turned black, you know, or your house is, you know, banged up with mold right now in your heart, you're not dead yet. You're not dead yet. You're not 100-year-old house that's been vacant and turned into a haunted house yet. That once, that the town wants to demolish. You understand? You can go back and clean up your house, fix it up. There's a lot of work to be done. Lots of work to be done. But with dedication and commitment, you can clean up your heart, your values, your principles, your way of thoughts, thinking, way of giving the truth, the logic, more importance over the heart, which has a tendency to be stupid. Most of the times. Very stupid. Very, very stupid, because the heart might be even in love. And in love, you're still in love. Shit, you just jumped off a freaking bridge. And once you fell off the bridge because you love somebody, you hit the waters and now you're suffocating out of your mind. You're like, perhaps before death, you're like, what the did I do? But it's too late. That's how stupid the heart is. The heart will take your life. The heart will take your life. You better put a leash on that heart. You better put it in a cage. It's been out all its life. It's time to put that dog in a cage. It's time to become a cat. A ruler. So, I don't know why I use cat dog examples. But it's time to put the heart in a cage. It's time. It's been out all along. It's had its playtime. Now let your logic and your spirit play. Let it come out. Let it play. It's time for a new dictator, We had enough of the silly, stupid dictators. We need some serious, rulers now for the best and benefit of our flesh and our spirit and our hearts and our minds. We need something a lot better. So it's time for a change. It's time for change, and it's not going to be easy. It never was. But trust me when I say this, majority of everybody has been there. And it's time now. So this was my video conclusion to The Hearts Have a Disease. Time to clean up that heart and take some medicine. So I'm off to read the Final Testament, and then I read all the scriptures. But the Final Testament holds truest to my heart in the end, because it is the only one that is left standing in complete perfection. I kid you not. But anyway, sorry for all that coughing and all that stuff. If you're watching a video, only because I'm ill. There's always something going on with me, so forgive me for that. I hope you get a copy of the Quran soon, and I hope you're able to read it in a language you understand and complete it from beginning to end. And I wish you all the very best of luck in your journeys in life. And until we speak again next time, this is a wrap. Allah Hafiz. God be with you.